So here I am. She's ringing us up, and I am like under my breath saying to Chris, I'm like, do you see that thing on her shoulder? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you think that's fake? Like, I am literally like,
She is whispering to
I'm
me.
like, is that her pet? Like the woman can't hear me, even though she's like 3 feet away from me. Well, if anybody knows Chris, you can't say anything to him without expecting him to say it out loud to somebody else. Like, I didn't have the balls to be like, lady, is that like a pet lizard or just your favorite new toy or whatever? So Chris looks at her and he doesn't say the word lizard. He's like, is that real? And she's like, what? And he's like, that lizard on
that
your shoulder.
Animal on your shoulder.
And she was like,
and then as I say
face,
it moves.
It runs down her back.
It runs like on her neck, on her neck. And so she's like frozen, right?
No.
And she's like, oh. Happy New Year. I feel like we haven't been here in forever.
It has been a very long time. I just
has
said
been a
I'm
long time.
I'm wearing all black today. It's my vacation's funeral.
Your vacation funeral.
Yeah.
Well, hey, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions. And we're going to talk about business goals and plans. And then we're going to spend probably the majority of the time actually talking about the holiday, the funny things that happened, and as we kind of kick back and come into the office.
Well, we have been out for 2 weeks, and my sister was in town, which we did talk about before our 2-week break actually hit. So we definitely feel like it has been a Christmas, New Year's holiday marathon.
You know, typically my entire life was, it was always the build up to Christmas Day.
Right.
And as an adult, it's kind of like, oh, it's more like Christmas week. You know, it's kind of like, hey, there's a lot of family. There's things we're moving.
Yeah, because as a kid, all you got to do is open presents.
And your sister came in on the 9th?
Yeah, something like
the
that.
9th or the 10th. And so Christmas, and it was like a week before we officially went on break.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like one of those things like, hey, we're so happy you're here. But we also had to take off time during that period of time.
Well,
so
we needed to be flexible. We made it work.
Flexible.
Yeah, but it was like, and if we said to them, we might not be able to see you as much as we typically would because we've got to button stuff up in order to go on break. You know, that was a huge thing that we needed to prepare for being gone. And, but it was my niece's third birthday, and then they got engaged. And so lots of exciting stuff happened there. But that was really the last update you guys all got. And since then, we've had like 4 other Christmases.
Yeah, we've had like 4 Christmases.
Yeah.
And so it is literally this is the first year in my adult life where I was literally like, you know what, I'm really ready to put the Christmas away. Like, I felt like it was just nonstop celebrating Christmas.
Yeah, which for him to say that is crazy because he starts talking in July, like maybe even in June or May.
No. After 4th of July, as the summer is
intense.
Like, I'm sitting there going, and it's not Christmas. I'm going, I can't wait for the decorating season for me, which is
Halloween,
October, November, December, because we decorate each month a different theme.
Well, and our house looks so we did get our Christmas decorations down, thank goodness.
Yep, and they're all down. We're put away.
And it was definitely, it's always a shock every year. I'm sure everyone experiences it. But we go from Halloween to fall Thanksgiving theme to Christmas. So we have 3 months of like all this extra stuff. And then, our house feels so barren and empty
so
right now.
And we always feel that way. And then in like a month or two, we'll sit there and we'll be like, oh, we just love it. It's so clean, you know, like it's.
Well, it is nice. It is nice and clean. Yeah.
There's no clutter. We are very minimalistic. We actually change out. I can say we, but it's really I. I think I'm really psycho. Like, I'm changing out every picture. I'm changing out all of our decorations.
Every pillow cover.
Every pillow's changed.
I mean,
like I go
when we say, and you guys are probably sitting there thinking, where the heck do they have space to store all of this? And he has like a full blown.
I have a color bin coded garage for the season.
Color coded garage.
So I can pull out the bins. But I am exceeding maximum storage capacity at this moment.
More stuff keeps on coming. And I don't even remember, it's been so long if we talked about it, but he decided this year, he was like, I'm going to build a wooden
entryway.
Yes, this magical. I think we did talk about it because we were going to throw a picture in, but that needed to be put away and stored this year, which I was impressed with how you took it all apart and
folded it up and it all connected.
It was like, okay, that's not that bad.
I had one of those joyous things where I sat there and I connected everything together, and men feel this way. You're like, I'm the man. Like you have this feeling where like, that was awesome. And the thing is, I didn't plan it. Like if I had tried to plan it, it would not be as amazing as it kind of all came back together at the end. And I literally binded it all together. So it's all one big piece with shrink wrap so it could stay protected for the year.
Yeah, he was proud of himself for that one. But we did have a wonderful holiday. Even though it was a lot, it was really good. And one of the reasons it was a lot is because people made the effort to see us and we made the effort to go and see them. So we pretty much saw almost every member of our family, like
our immediate family.
Yes, it was. Families. We went. My aunt and uncle came here. We spent Christmas Day and Christmas Eve with them and my parents, and that was really nice. And then right after Christmas, we ended up going to.
We flew to North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina to see your brother and the kids.
We saw Tyler. We saw Bree. We saw their significant others, and it was just a good time,
which was awesome.
And we all went to a hockey game, which was really awesome because we hadn't been to hockey games in quite 15 years. So
I was never really a hockey goer, but you have been in previous lives. I'm telling
you that the hockey's like why I love hockey? Because in Florida it's hot and you get to go in a place that's really cold. Except we go up to North Carolina. It's freezing cold outside. It's like warm inside this arena. And I'm like bundled
all
up,
day,
ready to go.
He was like, bring your winter jacket, bring your gloves, bring your beanie. And so I get into the stadium and I am like sweating my ass off. Remember, people, I'm like almost 7 months pregnant. He's like got me in my winter coat and a sweater holding gloves. I'm like, this
You're like
was
those
a bad
kids
idea.
From like A Christmas Story where they're all bundled up and their arms can't even go down
and these seats are tiny. You've only got a little bit of space. I have very short legs, so I was fine, but you've got a tall family. And I mean, your brother he was like, his legs were in a V and he was still like,
so things where your knees are touching your chest because you're like,
pretty much.
The floor's so shallow and everything else.
But we had fun and
we flew. We flew a direct flight day after Christmas to Raleigh, and the airports were surprisingly dead.
Well, so I think we timed it perfectly because we saw and read articles about how the airports were actually busier this year for Christmas than they've been ever before. But it was crazy too because we did have family flying in this way, and one of the days, I think in the morning, American Airlines like grounded all their flights the day before Christmas or something like that. Yeah.
This year? Mm-hmm. Oh, I totally missed that article.
Yeah. But we left to go to North Carolina at like 7 a.m. the day after Christmas. So no one's scheduling travel
that early.
Hours only after they celebrated with their family. And then same thing when we were coming home, our flight was at like 6:30 a.m. So we picked very early morning flights where there's only a few flights leaving the airport.
We love early morning flights because if you're, especially if those of you that travel for business or anything else, is like early flights don't get delayed. Like they just most likely you're going to make
most likely the plane got there the night before.
You're the first flight out, and if you're going to make a connection, the connections are going to be on time. The further in the day you get, some people are like, oh no, I'd rather sleep in or do whatever. It's like, no, your travel plans are about to get effed,
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that day there was a storm coming
on the way back.
Yeah. I mean, now you can't predict the weather, but I mean, we happened to luck out because the storm was coming. We would have never made it out if our plane left.
And my brother got up at 4 a.m. and took us to the airport.
Yeah, that was amazing.
He was like, it was funny because I think that Jenny said to me, she goes, so you guys getting an Uber tomorrow? I'm like, no. Like we clearly defined that we would have rented a car. And Sid said, no. It's so funny because it's like, I think Jenny's the one that actually said like, we'll take you to the airport. And Sydney's the one that was going to be taking us to the airport.
Well, and that was the thing too. So I don't know. Obviously,
it reminds me of the time that you volunteered me to the neighbor, and I was like, "Are you like whoring me out?"
To what neighbor?
You're like my husband, the neighbor before.
Are you talking about spraying of the lawn?
Yeah.
Oh my
something
gosh,
like that.
this
Literally,
is so
she's
different.
like this neighbor lady that we had, and you were like, you can, Chris, my husband, he'll be more than happy to come over and hang your pictures, and he'll be more than happy to spray your lawn and everything else. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Being a friendly neighbor.
Yeah, also crazy neighbor.
I know, but no, it was nice. What I was going to say is it was flu season too. And I feel like I'm going to knock on wood right now because I've been taking zinc every day and trying to just keep both of us healthy. But we showed up and it was like everyone seemed to be coughing and sneezing. The weather was cold, throats were dry, and someone was like, Jenny was down for the count. She really got sick. And
but there were puppies.
There were puppies. I know. So his brother has a lab, and they studded out. Yeah, they studded out the lab. Well, no, the lab's not the boy. They got a stud to come in, and so their dog is the mother of 9 puppies, and so they were about 3.5 weeks when we got there.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
And they were moving around and fun little things to hold, but not at the age where they're playful and can like pounce and do some of those things.
Yeah.
But the week after we left, because the
too.
development is so quick, they were pouncing around in some of the videos they shared with us after we left this week.
I know. The fact that we didn't come home with a puppy was a miracle, but...
not a miracle. There's no Christmas miracle that's happening where I'm bringing a puppy home.
Pepper is our pride and joy.
Although, we do take Pepper on the planes, and she's got a big pet carrier, but you could literally carry one of those puppies like in a little shoebox and just holding on your lap.
Well, people do. I mean, people buy dogs all the time in different states and fly out.
I never really thought about it, like buying a little puppy and...
People go to breeders in different states all the time, and that's what they do. They book a flight to go there, and then they fly home with the dog on the plane. Wow. I mean, they're so tiny. It's an 8-week-old.
Or to your point, they're so tiny and 8 weeks old that you
just don't see
they're
it.
just all around me. There's puppies on you. Everyone, there's puppies on your plane.
Well, you would never put a puppy underneath.
Better to have puppies on a plane than snakes on a plane.
That's... I hate snakes.
I do too. Actually, I like snakes, but just not poisonous ones that'll kill you on a plane.
But we did some adventuring of our own while we were here for Christmas to go and see like all the Christmas lights. And it was your birthday. And so we did.
I'd never been to Rocco's Tacos. And so we went there. And it's interesting because, in business and just people want ambiance. Like if you look at a business who puts very little into ambiance and you're like, why is this business failing? And I guess we're talking food here or any type of place where you go. And then you see people who invest money into just the way it feels when you're there. And it helps with word of mouth or whatever. But I've heard about Rocco's Tacos, and it's been on my list to go. And you had been before and you were like, it's really pricey. Like it's
I didn't say it's really pricey. I just said I think it's a little expensive for what you get.
Well, anything's expensive for what you get if it's a taco.
Yes. Yes.
But anyways, we went there and
the atmosphere is amazing.
I didn't even show them my ID, but we were like, hey, he goes, did they ask us if there was a special occasion? And I was like, oh, we're just out here. It's my birthday.
Yeah, I don't know. But somehow they knew it was your birthday. Must have told them.
And so you get either a free shot in a drink. You don't get a free drink. You get like an extra shot in the drink.
He gave you the free drink.
Or a taco or dessert.
No. It was just a dessert or a shot of tequila, I think. It's a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, shocker, guys. Guess what Chris picked?
Dessert.
Bull.
I got the shot.
Yeah, he got the shot and they put it in a margarita form or whatever. But I was like, if a restaurant gave me the option to get an alcoholic beverage or a dessert, I'm taking the beverage every time.
I would probably take, it depends, because if it's an independent, this wasn't an independent or just a shot, which I don't know how much shots go for, but typically drinks are like $12.
Shots.
Yeah. Maybe they get it people order more than one.
Well, that's the other thing. It's kind of brilliant.
It's brilliant because it's like, oh, you got a free shot. Who wants to do shots with me? And you just sold
like serving
2 or 3
free
shots.
popcorn, pretzels, and nuts at the bar. It's like, you thirsty? You want some more? Your mouth a little dry?
Bars are so evil.
No, they're brilliant.
They
want, and you know what? It's all in the name of good fun.
Yeah.
They just want people to have fun.
They do want people to have
which
fun.
you did very much so have fun.
I had
day.
a great birthday. What's different this birthday is, and I think the podcast was right before my birthday. And so you were like, I really want to take you to Disney for your birthday and everything.
Well,
and my pass, I think I have the Pirate Pass or something, or Sorcerer's Pass. I have a Sorcerer's Pass, and the Sorcerer's Pass.
For those of you non-Disney fans like me, they like name their annual passes.
Yeah, I used to be the cool cat, and I had the Incredipass. The Incredipass, you could do anything with the pass, no blackout dates, whatever. But we started going a little bit less, and I was like, I'm going to downgrade from the Increda to the Sorcerer Pass, and it blocks off Christmas. Well, the block off date is the 19th, the day before my birthday.
Yeah, it starts
the 19th.
So the last day you can go is the 18th.
Yeah.
And we were actually and let's just back up for a second, because Disney is not my favorite thing in the world, but it is your birthday, so I would have been willing to go.
Yes.
And we were even looking at doing like the underground tour.
Which is on my bucket list.
Yeah, you wanted to do that. But my original plan was that I wanted to go to New York for Christmas.
Originally, yes.
Yes. But I mean, maybe another year. We did end up going to North Carolina.
He's got a place up there, and I did check to see if it would be available.
Yeah.
And it probably will be available early December next year.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do a last minute, like, hey, is it available? And it was like, nah, it's not, unfortunately.
Well, and we wanted to be able to go and enjoy. There's so many Christmas markets and so much that you can do that's inexpensive, but also there's no doubt about it. You're in New York City, you're going to spend money. And I will say this was a very humbling, just really second half of the year and moving into the holiday season for us. We did a major lifestyle change when I left my job, and we said we were going to see how it was going to work as we attempt to build our own company from the ground up. And it's been a blast, but it hasn't been without some major changes and sacrifices. And some of that is what's amazing is that it's been humbling in the sense that we haven't had to change much. We're not sitting around like, oh, we can't do things anymore. I feel like we've just had to get creative.
We've had to get creative. And, the biggest impact is just going out to eat, probably, for us.
Yeah.
Like, that felt like it was an unlimited budget.
It's also helpful that I can't have cocktails right now.
And that helps out tremendously. Matter of fact, I can contribute 99.9% to the lack of Becky cocktails.
Yeah. So. I was probably 60% of our bills just drinking.
You're kind of touching on like a really important kind of concept, which is a lot of people, when they get to the holiday season, they put things on credit card to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And then you feel the hurt of that in January, February, March, as you're kind of paying off that debt or the partying, or whatever. And for us, it was kind of like, hey, we forecast, so we're looking at it going, we can't do these things. And we squeezed in the trip to North Carolina, because we had
a place to stay.
We had a place
credits,
to stay.
yes.
We had all these things. So it was like, you know what? We can get a great trip in, visit family. And they invited us. It wasn't something that we had planned.
No, it made sense. But I think it is important too, because we were still, like, we hosted, but yes, meat can be expensive and it can also be inexpensive. So this comment that I was about to make was going to be ridiculous, but like, I didn't buy the $400 standing rib roast,
Correct,
and I know that sounds so silly, but it's like, if you go to a good butcher, you can get a nice piece of meat. Can you also get a standing rib roast from somewhere else that's way less expensive? Absolutely, you can.
Absolutely.
Like, of course. And it's probably, just
But
as
to
good.
your point, the transitions, and a lot of people make this, and for us, it's double impact because we work at the same place. So,
right.
Before you had a career in a different company, and so that was unaffected. We were unaffected.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the big things that we had to do was just, say, hey, we have made these lifestyle changes, and we're going to stick to it. And I think we did pretty good. We bought each other some really nice gifts, I think, overall.
Yeah.
I think the double whammy for you, it's my birthday and Christmas in December.
That's the thing.
And she got me another amazing original grain watch, which is black, which matches our Dusted brand. And I'm super excited to wear that at the next video or whatever we have. But we're also getting the matching ring. But one thing I will plug: if you like watches, Original Grain Company is actually amazing.
Yeah, they make their watches out of whiskey barrels and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat little company. So,
but I also got you a log splitter,
and I got a log splitter, which every man needs a log splitter. And if log splitter is not on your list at some point in your life, I don't know. Did you live a full manly man life?
I don't know. But we're excited to use it in the summer at the lake for fires and stuff. But no, I think it really is like we didn't let our change in lifestyle impact what we wanted to do or what we enjoy to do around the holidays, which is hosting, having people over for dinners, decorating the house, and getting gifts that people can unwrap. It's like and this is the thing. This is a personal opinion. I don't think it's smart, nor do I agree with spending money that you don't have just to give gifts. I think that the holidays should be more about experiences. And even if they're unwrapping something, like you got your sister this hilarious like chocolate guy. Yeah.
The perfect man.
Yeah, it wasn't expensive. She unwrapped a box. It was funny. And at the end, because like how many people get gifts that they're just like, what am I going to do with? You just go to the store.
Right.
Tell me how many, like, you're like, oh, we're going to see these people. I need to grab them something. Like, how many people are buying Bath and Body stuff, candles, like shit? And don't get me wrong. Like, you might use it.
It's all very nice.
It's all very nice. But, like, are you going to, like, then take it and re-gift it to someone else?
So we have I actually shouldn't call it the re-gift box.
It's not really a re-gift box.
It's not a re-gift box because it's things that I buy where I'm like, that would make, and it's usually things I own. And they were low cost, and I go, this would
they
make
were on
a
sale or
great
something.
Backup gift. If we run into a situation where we're going somewhere, we do not have, and here's our go-tos. We have a go-to which is a wine opener, which is
it's like the wine popper,
pneumatic.
Yeah, it's got the CO2 that like you puncture the hole in.
That's like a go-to for any wine.
We
enthusiast.
love that. Yeah,
and
the
then
cork
we have
pop.
some little mini speakers, and then we have some other things that are in there, or sometimes I'll buy something, realize, you know what, I actually don't need this. And then I go, okay, do I return it?
We have a meat thermometer. By the way, people, when I first found out he had an emergency gift box, I was like, what the, like, talk about weird.
She's like, you know what? I hit the husband lottery.
Yeah, I certainly did.
My husband has
but it was wild because I'm like very
The other
much.
day we were going through it. I was like, we need more small. A lot of our friends are having kids. And I said, I need to start stocking up on small kid gifts.
And I'm like, no, this is crazy. Who stocks up on gifts? But we, over the last 5 years, have used that box more than I could have ever anticipated. It has been very helpful.
And even before Christmas, we were like, hey, let's go to the gift box.
And you get something on a deal when the world's not going crazy.
I usually buy things that are like super on sale.
Yeah. And when it comes, it was so crazy when we went out shopping. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a segue right into my favorite part of what this podcast is going to be today. But what I was going to say is when we went shopping, all the Christmas stuff was gone.
What day was that? Was that my birthday?
That was your birthday. We went shopping.
We're talking December 20th. Everything in the stores is gone. There's no Christmas. We actually were going out and thought we'd find one or two things for the house.
Or sales. Because you're like, oh, we're so close to the end here. Are there going to be decorations? Is there going to be any sales going on? The whole, like all of, we call it UTC or University Town Center, which is just a big shopping plaza. It was all Valentine's Day or nothing at all.
Everything was either Christmas was like Day or Christmas was
now
gone.
they had lights outside, like they were still.
Yes, and they might have had a small clearance section. Really, all was left was like a small clearance section with nothing. Like it'd been picked over by vultures.
Yes, but okay. Funniest moment probably of the break for me happened on this day.
It was the funniest. Yeah, that was the funniest thing.
Okay. So we're shopping in Old Navy.
Yeah.
And
by the way, Old Navy kind of disappointed this year for me for shopping.
Yeah.
I almost always find like a cool graphic tee or something that I'm like, oh, I really love it. Everything in there either was baggy or plaid or just like I felt really either one.
Plaid is in.
Yeah, says the 21-year-old.
I'm 21.
No, I'm just saying. You say it's in. Old Navy's typically skews a little younger.
Yeah, maybe you've.
I need to go to H&M.
Maybe you've outgrown Old Navy, honey.
No,
and H&M is not much
So
better.
we're in the checkout line.
But well, by the way, before we slam Old Navy,
First of all,
I got an amazing sweatshirt that I love.
You did, and it was so funny. This is like the pre-funny. I mean, we'd been in stores and we're together. We kind of split up a little bit in Old Navy, and the way they put their stuff in the middle. Literally, you and I are walking in circles looking for each other. So it's almost like the yin and yang are walking around the store.
We had to call.
And she literally called me. She's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm over."
He's like, "I'm in the women's. Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in the men's."
I'm in the men's. And I'm like, "Okay, hold still. I'll be there." She's still going.
We're like transferring.
Around,
it is if you had like an overhead view of the store, it'd be like a funny movie
it would have been
scene
funny.
or something. But okay, sorry guys, we're this is dragging out. So we're in line, we're checking out. And this woman's ringing us up and she's very sweet. And I look over at Chris because I see this thing on her shoulder and it looks like a plastic lizard.
It looks like a plastic lizard.
Yeah, and its tail is like cut off. Like, so I was just like, oh, how cute. Like this must be like a toy for her kid.
Well, here's the thing.
Something like
when you
that.
walk around theme parks, people, the thing now is to have these little pets on your shoulder. You walk around with a little
People have like iguanas
or
and shit.
Star Wars bird.
It's
or
weird.
a Moana chicken. It's like a thing.
It's a thing.
So
but they're not real. They're not
real.
So here I am. She's ringing us up. And I am like under my breath saying to Chris, I'm like, do you see that thing on her shoulder? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you think that's fake? Like, I am literally like,
she is whispering to
I'm
me.
like, is that her pet? Like the woman can't hear me, even though she's like 3 feet away from me. Well, if anybody knows Chris, you can't say anything to him without expecting him to say it out loud to somebody else. Like, I didn't have the balls to be like, lady, is that like a pet lizard or just your favorite new toy or whatever? So Chris looks at her and he doesn't say the word lizard. He's like, is that real? And she's like, what? And he's like, that lizard on your shoulder.
Animal on your shoulder.
And she was like,
and then as I say
face,
it moves.
It runs down her back.
It runs like on her neck, neck. And so she's like frozen, right?
No.
And she's like, oh. And I look to the other lady. I go, can you get that?
No. I'm screaming. Okay. And we live in Florida. Like, you'd think we're
Lizards
used to
are
this
everywhere.
stuff.
But how did you?
So Chris literally can't like reach over the counter to grab this woman. He looks at the other cashier and he's like, hey ma'am, can you get that lizard off her back? And the other cashier looked at you like you had 100 heads. She was like, if you think I'm going to help this woman.
And then the safari woman, like on the end, she goes, I'll get it.
She was in line. She goes, I'm not scared.
I'm not scared.
And she like throws all her merchandise down on the ground.
Runs around the counter.
Around in the line. And this lizard's all over this woman.
Right. And grabs the lizard off of our cashier. Yes. Who, by the way, is
Reaches
frozen.
over. I mean,
who's now sitting there like frozen in time. Like,
no, she was freaking out.
She was freaking out.
And by the fact that her shirt stayed on, I mean, I would have been
Well, she told us,
naked.
she's like, oh my gosh.
No, she kept going. She was like, what? How big? How long was it there? Like, she was so
No, what was happening is that
herself.
once the lizard went away, the lady would talk to her. She'd be like, oh my. And then it was almost like she had PTSD. She would stop and she'd be like, that lizard was really on me. How big was it?
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, no, it's something. And she'd go back to normal. And then she'd stop. And then it's like she kept reliving it.
I know.
Like,
she
at least four
was like,
times.
I'm not going to get over this. Like,
I'm not going to get over this.
She like couldn't
I thought
believe
she
it.
was the one that said that she would rip her shirt off.
No, I got home later that day and I was like, there's no way.
Everyone would just.
Would have seen me naked. My shirt would have been off in 2 seconds. If there was a lizard on me and it wasn't off in 2 seconds.
Anyways, we had a laugh.
Oh my gosh. So then she finishes check. And this Amazonian woman, she just like casually like catches this lizard. Lizards are not easy to catch. Like
when they're that big.
I know.
I mean, this thing was like that big.
It was huge. And I was like, well, I didn't know its tail was broken off. And then the Amazonian woman was like, oh, that's what happens if someone tries to get them in the wild or whatever.
Yeah, like a bird grabs their tail.
Yeah, that they're able to break off their tail for survival.
And then it regenerates.
And I'm like, okay, well, you had a surviving lizard.
Yeah, and it was at Old Navy.
So that was hilarious.
That was one of the funniest. That was probably one of the funniest things that happened during the break.
That was the highlight of our Christmas.
Our highlight of our Christmas was this woman being attacked by a giant lizard dragon.
Well, you know she's going to be telling. And she looked straight at us. She goes, I will never forget you two. I will never forget your faces. I feel like we should go back in just for shits and giggles.
Be like, remember me. And if she says no, we should have a lizard and dangle it and be like...
I'm not exaggerating when I say she must have been checking us out for 2 minutes. I'm not going to be like saying like 5-10 minutes. Like we were standing up there for at least like 60 to 90 seconds. And this lizard was not moving. I mean, he was like a little pet, just like on her shoulder.
I didn't even see it until you said something to me.
That's how still he was.
He was so still. And she had like a festive shirt on.
I wonder how long he was there.
He had been there for a while. I mean, here's the thing. That lizard's not crawling up your leg. Like you'd feel it as it's crawling up your body. It didn't get in your arm.
How did it get there?
Like how did it? That's why we were like,
drop from the sky?
I asked her, is he your pet? Didn't I say that? I said, is that your pet? And then I think that's when she froze the first time. Like
she was like, well, she was like, what?
What? I'm like the giant lizard on your shoulder.
You kind of like went to point, but
and that's when it moved. When I pointed at it, it moved, and then that's when she felt it.
And because it went running down her back, and that's when that's panic set in.
Oh my gosh!
But anyway, so that was hilarious, and that made his birthday. We went out that night too, which was really nice to.
It was a great birthday
to Kojo, yes.
So we're getting back, and one of the things that we did this last year, when we opened up our doors last year, I said I want us to have a 2-week break for everyone.
Yeah.
And kind of decompress.
Part of it was your birthday, since we were just talking about that.
Because I want to be off for my birthday.
And truly unplug.
And potentially travel for my birthday.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be... and then come back for a day for Christmas. So I kind of took some of my wants and needs.
But also it's, as an owner of a company, it's like if the company's moving and shaking, yes, can you hire people that you trust to manage the company? Of course you can. And there's opportunities to go travel where, the company's still running. Right. But we're in the very beginning stages. We don't have a ton of people working for us. And pretty much every day, if the company's open... there are questions for you. There's no doubt about it. Like
people are working. And the other thing is that some people will end up using PTO. They'll take that time and so then you're like, oh my gosh, I got to play catch up or I got to do this. Other people were working, they're getting ahead or whatever. And so looking at just my experiences in the last, we'll just say 20 years of working, I thought to myself, it'd be really nice if everyone just got to relax and just kind of decompress. And it would also help
even if they don't celebrate the holiday.
Even if they don't celebrate the holiday, it's more
it's
of
a period of time that you're off when, yes.
And so I have a few takeaways, and Maria's going to get the sneak peek because we're going to be a couple of things. We're going to be doing a survey for our team members to find out how much this meant to them and some other questions that I have.
Right. Was it a good amount of time?
Was it a good amount of time? Was it too much, too little? Everyone will probably say it's too little, but...
Which we don't... But if those are the results, we're not extending
but I have two big takeaways from that. And one is we've said this in the past, and people tell this, that whenever you're doing a vacation, if let's say you're taking a 4-day vacation, it's really like a 2-day because you really need a day to decompress, and you need a day to kind of... that antsiness of going back to work kind of kicks in, and you're doing that. And so having such a big break, I will actually say, I thought I was going to come to the office more. I came one time, and that was to clean up a few things and get some packages out. Ship some stuff out. And what I found was that I really disconnected. It was nice not coming back. Now, we did have our overseas team who takes their 2-week break a different part of the year. They were all working. So I would still get up early in the morning. I would chat with them. But that's enjoyable to me.
And you can do that from home.
And I can do it from home. So
home.
I literally was in the man cave, had my cup of coffee, did things, and everything else kept moving forward.
And it depends on who you are. I mean, we go on trips. Sure. Are there times... I will say in the history of my career, I've never traveled when anything busy is going on. Like I've always been in marketing, and while marketing, I mean, certain companies are seasonal in their busy periods. But in my world of marketing, it's been like, are there big events going on? Is there things we're, planning to attend or host, or is there big campaigns? Is there big webinars? Whatever it may be. I've never traveled when something important's been happening in work. So I've always chosen to prioritize my work and plan around it very far in advance. And what I was going to say is when I go on vacation, I don't really have the same problem as you. Like we show up day one and I'm like, we're here.
She jumps into vacation.
Yeah,
like
he's
she's
like,
jumping into.
He needs time to like unravel. And I'm like, I'm going to go.
Well, because there's
dance on the
communication
beach.
and phone and being software and tech enabled. It's not like for me, my world is online and accessible anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, if you were building, porch decks, you're not building a porch deck on vacation.
There are
no
people,
distraction.
even if you're like in hospitality and you work in the hotel business or you work in a restaurant, it's like when you clock out, you're done.
You're done.
If you're doing, plumbing, it's like
very
you
hard
can't
for
pick
me.
up a job. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you have, team members or employees, like
Everyone
if you're
has
running a plumbing
admin.
business and you're going on vacation and you have plumbers that are doing work,
You still
there's
there's facilitation. Yeah.
And even last summer we talked about this when we went to Michigan. We had a huge order that came through the second day we were on vacation. And
I know.
It was like a huge vacation killer for me.
I honestly, you guys, it's amazing because I don't mean to sound like I'm not a hard worker. I am. Like I work hard. I am so dedicated. But if something crazy happens, I'm just like, oh. Although I will say I've been on vacations before where unexpected things have come up and it could be 5 a.m. and I'll be on a call. Like I don't care. If it's important, I will be there.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm sitting there thinking about it.
So, so the other part of that, so one, it was like this, for me, there was this usability to let go. Now I did spend a lot of time really not focusing on work, but working on the business and thinking, what do I want to accomplish next year? And I did a lot of things just in my free time to kind of think about how I want to execute in 25. But the other big thing, and a lot of small business owners, you're going to realize this, is that you still have liabilities, you still have rent, you still have electric, you still have all these things, and you have this income that's coming in. And one of the things that I learned was, right now we are very heavy on the service side. So we trade hours for dollars. And while we have a lot of software and product that are in development that are launching this year in 25, that are SaaS that just pay us, where clients come in, they're using our products.
Monthly subscriptions where
I do feel like I'm going to make a huge push on our SaaS products so that next year, some of the stress of delivering, I would almost like to shut down our service side during the 2 breaks as well. So there's just no expectations that work's going to get done.
Well, and I think, so to circle all the way back around, the biggest thing was we weren't sure how 2 weeks off was going to work. We've never worked for a company that's done that for us, and we want to be the company that we always wished we worked for. And so we're attempting to do that, but we also understand there are business elements and aspects that have to be reviewed to see, does it make sense or not?
Right.
Can we afford to do this? And I think if you don't have that recurring monthly revenue, coming from whether it's a SaaS product or anything else that you're doing, then are you in the position to be able to do something like this? If you are, maybe it's that you really need to anticipate saving that revenue from your summer months, if that's what's busier for you, to be able to support something like a 2-week break in the winter. So anyway, it's all been a very good learning experience. We enjoyed the time off ourselves. This is our first day back, and it's also nice to be back and see
it's exciting.
Familiar faces and be back in the office.
I think one of the big things was to feel refreshed and ready to come back. And I personally feel that way.
Yeah.
Like I am ready to just crush it.
Let's do it.
Crush it.
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
And speaking of that, as far as we don't have company resolutions, we have a company vision board, which is ready to go. It's actually at the printers. I'm picking it up today.
Sweet.
And we'll be sharing that with our team and everyone here over the next week. And then at the end of this month, we're going to be doing our first internal big event, which is ProddyX. And we're going to be doing that.
Got to plan it.
We got a plan. So that's going to, we have people coming in from overseas on our teams to join our 1-day event. And so remind me to talk to you about
all of a sudden he's
like
that.
Now I'm like
I know.
nonstop. But where I was leading with that is that this vision board in each one of our verticals has one goal. And it's the one goal that I believe will have the biggest impact on our company. And so while each vertical has multiple ventures or software packages, I try to make it to where it could encompass all those ideas. And I'm really going to work hard this year on our monthly huddles to say, these were the goals that I set out for each one. Are we hitting those?
Right.
Where are we at with those and the reminders? Before, I had goals very much on the individual entities, and I want to bring it up just one level.
I think it's important in general in a company to, one, share your goals, and two, make sure that anybody in that company, the goals should be larger, and also it should be something where the employees have an easy time being able to relate their day-to-day activities to that goal. It might not be, they might not be a direct result, a direct return on investment, whatever, but they know that the work that they're putting in supports another team that then is able to reach, the goal, like that they're playing a part and they understand what that part is. So they feel that same passion, towards reaching that goal and motivation to be like, okay, we did this together. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And we've talked about it before, but any research that's been done in companies, yes, of course, people not only like money and raises, they like being able to afford their bills. It's important to make sure that you're able to do things like cost of living if the company can afford it. But what I was going to say is 9 times out of 10, if people are sticking with a company, it's not because they were offered the most money that they could make. People take jobs for less money all the time because they feel like they can stand behind a mission or a vision. There has to be purpose. Yes. And so,
yeah.
But I mean, we're going to discuss vision and all that with the team here for 2025 and have our own goals. And then there's, just this idea of New Year's resolutions in general.
Well, we needed a huge decision. I think a lot of people give end of the year reviews and bonuses and raises and everything in December. And we felt like that interfered with the holiday and the time off and the relaxation. And so our plan is end of January is when we're going to go through things. So I think a lot of people, when you go through there, if you're trying to mix up too much, one, your fiscal year, our fiscal year ends at December 31st. Your year hasn't even ended yet. So, to kind of forecast and figure all that out, I think December is really a month for me to plan it out. The beginning of January to start executing on that plan, communicate that plan at the end of January to all the entire team. And for us to spend the next 11 months just executing, on that. But one of the things that I thought we maybe end with something fun, which is New Year's resolutions and just some facts and stuff that I pulled up. And
let's talk about
one of the things that you and I do is we do create, I wouldn't call it a New Year's resolution, but we create goal lists.
Yeah. Which is quite funny to look at our goal list. He's like, well, we kind of joked about this before, but he's like, start a new business. And I'm like, get blackout blinds for the living room.
First of all, my list this year, and I think last year I had 12 items on my list of goals to accomplish in the year. And you had 4. And there is something very valuable to say, to focus on a very smaller amount. And matter of fact, I can't remember the gentleman's name. He's like, write out all your goals and your things. He's like, then prioritize them. Yeah. He's like, then take the top 3 and throw everything else in the trash, and it's like, and
well,
there's
you
a strategy
do have
there.
to be realistic too, whether it's personal goals or it's professional goals. If you put too many, it's easy to look back and be like, well, this is awesome. We did a lot of things, but I wasn't able to accomplish all these goals that I wanted to accomplish. And it's like, it's nice to have stretch goals, but in the realm of reality.
Well, I realized that one of the only reasons that I probably didn't hit some of my goals is because I didn't revisit my goal list.
You could have done it.
I could have done it. It wasn't something that I went back. And so that's I wouldn't call it a resolution, but one of my things this year
my goal
is to
is
revisit.
to remember my goals.
Yeah, really is to revisit. And I think that's half the battle. But here's what's really funny is so you and I have them, right? And so did you assume that most people made New Year's resolutions?
No, not really. I mean,
if you had to guess, what would you have said?
What percentage of people actually
make a goal?
Well, I feel like it's low because you kind of already tipped me off. But if I was to guess before you said anything, I mean, I would at least say 50%.
Yeah. And I probably thought it was probably closer to 70%.
Sure.
And the answer is 30%.
Wow.
So 3 out of 10 Americans, we're going to talk Americans because that's the polls that we got, actually set goals for the new year, which I thought was fascinating. But here's what I thought was even more of the 30%, 60% of those people feel pressured to make the goals.
Really?
And it's someone else in their life that's pressuring
That's saying we need to do
or
it.
It's TV,
I
or
probably
it's
wouldn't make
advertising.
goals if it wasn't for you, to be honest. I'm
Right.
not.
So
and
I am.
You're not pressuring me in a bad way. It's just like,
I'm like, what's your goal?
I'm just like, hey, it's 2025. Like right now, my goal is to have a child and keep it alive. It's like these things are going to happen anyway. So
Okay. So here's the thing. Out of all the people that set goals, what percentage of those people have to do with health?
Oh, well, is weight associated?
Yeah, I would say
because the gyms go crazy.
Yeah,
in
I would say weight, looks.
So of
smoking,
30%,
drinking.
yeah, true. Yeah, that's
like,
health, right?
Yeah,
Eating, smoking, drinking.
yeah. What percent?
Gosh, I'd say 90.
Really close. 79.
Yeah.
80% of people.
Yeah, because
it's all
everyone's
health.
it's your physical appearance. It's
Yeah.
it's how you feel about yourself. It's
And you just came through the holidays. You just ate. Like we ate so much food during the holidays.
Oh god.
I've gained. I'm not even sure how much I've gained. Now I've gained because we're launching a new product this year, and I'm going to be experimenting.
You've
with
already
it.
talked about it. Don't say.
Oh,
but
I am.
but that is crazy. It's interesting because people do. And I guess this is the thing. It's like instead of having a goal like I want to lose 20 pounds, it would be like probably better. And I'm preaching, but I don't practice this particular preach. But it's like better to have a lifestyle change that would help you, that you can stick to. Because, I mean, I've done the keto diet before and dropped a bunch of weight, but it's not realistic to stay on something like that. Your body changes very quickly when you stop, those paleo keto diets. And someone right now that's literally just doing
Oh my
meat.
gosh, just doing meat.
And they've lost a lot of weight. They look great,
but I'm
good
also
for them.
scared
But it's
for health and all the other things your body needs.
Yeah, your body needs all these like nutrients and natural ingredients, and you should be like, it's like I want to lose weight, so you're going to start to go to the gym, but then like that dwindles off because maybe you're trying to go every single day instead of just being like, you know what,
you get burnout.
I'm going to do something twice a week,
Right.
And so,
well, actually, I was just sharing with you because one of the things that I want to do is either just stretching more and like lifting a few weights. But at nighttime, and I would get that up and I would do it in the morning. But if I do that in the morning, then I'm giving up some of my online
Work
development
time,
time,
yeah.
which I actually clock hours early morning. So if I replace that with working out or doing that, then it interrupts me. And then I asked you the other day, I was like, do you mind if while we're watching shows that I'm doing
but like,
some
why would I
push-ups and
mind? Of
stretch
course not.
and-
Yeah.
Well, I might be a huge distraction of this, this guy working out. Maybe I'll start grunting,
Just this guy.
Maybe if I took my shirt off, you'd be staring more at me. And then,
Only if a lizard was on your shoulder.
Probably. Anyways, I put together a great list of things to work on personally and
mine.
for the company and the business.
It's funny to talk about goals too, because, and this is real. Like if this is the stuff that matters to you, but mine a lot of the times is surrounding travel, like places I want to go. It's almost like fulfilling a bucket list.
Do you know what percentage of adults make resolutions to travel more?
Of the 30 that make the goals.
Yeah. Of the 30 that make the goals,
I'm
what
going to
percentage choose travel?
say 75.
6%.
No way.
Yes.
Well, I'm one of them.
Well, you're probably the reason why it's as high as 6. She's like, it's so funny. We get through the year.
6%.
First of all, we plan our whole year. We actually have some great trips planned this year. Maybe some potential.
I feel like so
ones.
much goes into that, though. Like, yes, my goal is to travel, but obviously, in order to be able to do that, I need to be successful in my professional life. I need to have enough money to be able to do it. I need to have a savings. I need to have facilitated.
I think you just need to be budget banking and have that money set aside. It doesn't matter. Success is a very wide word. I like to think of successful as a mental thing.
But it might take you 2 years
thing.
to save up enough money for a certain
And that's
trip.
okay.
So that's when
it
it lands.
to.
Right.
Yeah. And it can land towards that. But people should be definitely, you should be budget banking and putting money in your travel fund.
Yes. You should have
That'll be
a
the big
separate
thing.
account. Yeah.
No, there's some things that we built last year that budget banking being one, and part of it was we converted that podcast to this podcast. And that took a lot of my focus off of it. And I realize now looking back, I go, you know what? I really missed an opportunity there because I always say time is our biggest asset.
Mm-hmm.
When we're building things, I sit there and go, we're logging hours, we're building something up, we're taking advantage of time. But if you build something and then you don't focus on selling and marketing it and doing something with it, you've basically squandered the time that you had. Because
but
business
I do
is about
think
being out there.
travel for me oftentimes is traveling with friends
Right
or
back to travel. I'm sitting there talking about life-changing, earth-shattering things.
I am. What I was going to say,
travel.
it is very important to me. Like when I look back on my life and I sit there and I say, what have been my best experiences? Typically, it is. And when I say travel, I don't mean extravagant places. I mean like
visiting friends,
making
family,
the effort to see
cities,
some of my best friends,
going into
keeping those
town.
relationships alive, like seeing family and, you know, watching their families grow up and being a part of their lives. Like I think being able to make the effort to do that is huge. And I am a lot of people get busy in their lives and they don't like
Busy is not an excuse.
Your goal could be like call one family member every week. And sometimes you need to set reminders.
Oh, yeah.
Like your brother used to do that. And if he was driving to and from work, he would like set reminders. But that's for me, I am so much more like family oriented. And I would say you are very business focused. And so I don't mind setting goals. I probably wouldn't do it anyway. But I have morals that I live by and, you know, goals in general in life that I try to stick to. So awesome.
Yeah, I love to travel.
Let's go to Greece.
Your travel's my travel. That's what I like to say. So, all right. Well, hey, you know what? It's our first week back, our first day back.
I know.
We're excited. In our plan, we have 50 episodes planned for the year, so one every week. And so we're going to do our best.
We can't wait to see what shenanigans unfold because, you know, just when we think we won't have anything to talk about, something happens.
Something definitely happens.
Yes.
Plus, we're going to be having a baby in 25. We're acquiring another business in 25.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be
That's gonna
doubling
be
our
wild.
employee count in 25.
Getting a new building, hopefully.
It's going to be a crazy, crazy year.
Yes, and we can't wait. And
Can't wait to
hopefully
share it with
some
everyone.
of my business dreams that I've shared with you over the course of time that I would have never made happen on my own, I think might become a reality too. So
Yeah, we're very excited to share that.
woo!
Woohoo! All right.
Happy New
Thanks,
Year.
everyone. Happy New Year.